Good evening. My name is Mathew, and today I am going to talk about a topic which is very close to my heart. It is the national income inequality that exists in India. And the reason why this is very close to my heart is because as a kid, I used to keep wondering always why are some people poor and why are some people rich? Is it their fate? But over a period of time, I understood that it is an economic problem and it is something that can be, could have been avoided. It is something that still we can work on and eradicate as early as possible. So, in this talk, I will be focusing on what is the national income disparity, what are the reasons for this to happen, what are some of the flawed arguments that economists have made in this regard, and what are the reforms that are required by the government to help eliminate this problem. So, the current poverty level in India is around 23%, and the idea has always been to reduce this poverty level. However, the 2018 Oxfam study reports that there has been an increase in the income disparity in India, and the wealth of the Indian billionaires on the Forbes list has grown by almost 10 times over the last decade. There is also an increase in the Gini coefficient of wealth from zero point 0.8 in 2012 to 0.83 in 2018, and this makes India the second most unequal society, second to USA only. Now, there are several of our growth pundits who have been harping on the great strides that we have been making on the economic growth and the year on year GDP growth. But but they are always forgetting the growing income disparity that we are witnessing in most of our cities and our villages. Now, one of the arguments that several popular economists have made is that they state that the market forces in a growing industrializing economy will first raise the level of inequality in a country before gradually pulling it down. But with the experience of some of these Southeast Asian countries, rapid growth and declining income inequality have gone hand in hand. And this has happened because their government has very keenly focused on developing social infrastructure like education, healthcare, and also skill development, which has led to a good percentage of employment in their country. And therefore, a nation's inequality path depends strongly on the quality of the interventions made by its government. Let's take, for example, the Indian expenditure by the government on education. While the target for expenditure on education was around 6%, has been a very dismal expenditure of just 3% of the GDP on education. So there is definitely a, a lethargy in terms of deploying budgets and money on infrastructure which is actually the need of the hour. Now, the other argument that some of the economists have made is that if you want to redistribute wealth to the poor, you need to tax the rich so that their wealth can be removed from them and distributed to the poor. Now, why this is a flawed argument is because the rich will always find some way and some loophole that they will somehow evade tax and they will ensure that their money remains with them. And this is not told by me, this is told by our ex finance minister Arun Jaitley, who described India as a largely tax non compliant society, and he also said that tax evasion was a way of life for the Indians, and he mentioned that in his 2017-18 budget speech. So, why this problem exists in our society is because if a person is born to a rich family, he inherits large amount of wealth and he continues to become highly productive like his father and his grandfather. On the other hand, somebody who has been born to a poor family and who might have an equivalent skill set like the person who was born to the rich family, he does not inherit much wealth from his family, so he continues to produce less. Now, this continues to be a vicious cycle. So, the rich continue to produce more, earn more, and stay rich, and the poor stay poor. Therefore, it is a vicious cycle. Now, it is very difficult to break this vicious cycle. Somebody who is poor, if he wants to break the cycle, what he usually does is to migrate where wealth creation is, or the scope for wealth creation is higher. This means typically somebody has to move from his village to the town, find himself a job, and then over a period of time develop his economic stature. In the course of this change, this person will have to undergo hostile working conditions. He will be left to the mercy of his employer, and he'll have to undergo a lot of problems, and therefore the success rate of this conversion from poor to rich is very less. And this is because the opportunities provided by the government is also not great. While there are certain schemes like the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act and several other schemes, they are all not very successful because our skill development programs have not been very effective. So, in a nutshell, the problem is there because government's intervention in social infrastructure is not full, and it is not equal. It is not one which provides equal opportunity to all the people, and therefore it is high time that a discourse on inequality comes out of the shadow of growth and poverty. Thank you.